hello, welcome to Fahrenheit Performance Podcast, episode number 59. Today we have Ken Goh, right?
Yep,
from
thank you.
No6 Racing Wheels. Singaporean brand. You're a Singaporean, but you spend most of your time in China.
Yeah,
right?
for 20 years.
20 years. Oh, wow, you're like me. I'm 25, I think. So how did you end up being a Singaporean in China, and how did you start this company?
So before I was turned 30 years old, I wanted to do something I wouldn't regret. So as a photographer, I left and went to China.
Okay.
So that was how, I spent the rest of the 20 years. But in between, like 2015, I took a break from photography because, it was feeling burnout and I was doing the same thing again and again and again.
So you like typecast into like wedding photography or something, right?
Yeah, so mostly commercials, but shooting always like campaigns with product in your face. So I feel maybe I want to do something else, take a break for a while. So I went back and cycled. So
Okay.
so after I started cycling, I realized that there was a very big part that was missing in the cycling scene.
Okay, so how long had... So when did you start cycling? From that 2015?
2015, it was where it started.
It's not a midlife crisis, it's just like a...
That was the joke I was telling my friends.
Okay.
Those that were riding, I was doing mountain bike before. So when they were like riding on the hybrid, the advertising executives, they were like senior and they were just riding bikes and they said, "Hey, you should join us." I said, "Are you having a midlife crisis or what?" I was laughing at them.
Yeah, because they're like middle-aged men in lycra, right? So, okay. So you started mountain biking, you didn't go straight into road biking?
I started mountain biking and then I was doing foldables, and then later on I realized that I want to chase after performance. So I went into road bike, and those guys never cycle with me anymore. So I started racing, and after racing for about 6 months I realized that the community was getting smaller and smaller. Back in the days like 2016, 17, there were barely 200 cyclists, road cyclists in Shanghai.
So you were in Shanghai?
I was in Shanghai, yeah. And then when I went to Melbourne and I came back to Singapore, I was joining a lot of the clubs. And I realized that the capacity of club rides can be big.
Yes.
And you need to do it in a very systematic manner.
Not in Singapore, but everywhere else in
Yeah,
the world.
everywhere else, like Melbourne, you see them riding from day to night. So I thought, okay, if I adopted some of the rules and regulations on the road, how they ride, maybe, it can be done in a way that we can attract people to ride together and in a safe and conducive manner. So that's where we started, like Right Now Cycle Club.
So Right Now Cycle Club is something that you started in China, right?
Yeah.
And is it mostly Chinese people or is it expats? Or
it was mostly expats.
Okay.
Mostly expats, because I realized that there was this thing that is itching in a lot of us, when you're away from home.
Yep.
And you're not with your immediate family.
In a community or a tribe.
Community is something that bring everyone together. So we managed to build over, like at the beginning, like coffee ride, 28 kilometer. Then went up to training rides, and it went from like 30 people until about closer to 6,000.
Wow.
Yeah. So if you look us up on Strava, we are about 6,000 people.
And so now, is it not just in China anymore? Is it in Singapore as well?
Singapore, we have about 100 on the club rides.
Okay, and they just do regular rides.
Yeah.
So in China, they must have loved you because you can speak, like the expats must love you because you can speak English. The Chinese can love you because you can speak Chinese, right? So you're like the missing link in the middle
That's right.
that can be fluent in both languages, right?
Yeah. So we took them to, on a lot of like training rides into the mountains, into as far as like Tibet. So I was just like weaving around with the culture and the people and expats were all coming in and asking all questions. So I was like the mediator to bring them into the culture part and exploration in China.
It sounded like it became like a full-time job for you. Yeah, right?
So it became very daunting. Like there's a lot of questions, a lot of people coming to us, and then we are organizing 250 rides a year. So five to six rides a week.
Were you making any money off this, or
No,
was it just purely out of the goodness of your heart?
Yeah, so it was purely just for the community, and then it was the community that started to say, Ken, you should start we fix our bikes because we have so many questions and we need them to be fixed. Yeah. So we started a workshop, a clubhouse. And then,
sometimes, like if you're in a foreign country, you just need a face or a place or something that you can trust.
Yeah.
Drop it off, pick it up, is done, right? You don't have to worry about if you're getting ripped off. You don't have to worry about
right.
haggling. You don't have to worry about any of those things, right?
Exactly. So then after the clubhouse, fixing everyone's problem, they said, "Oh, we want to race as a team. We need a kit. We need a club kit." So we ventured into like club apparels and jerseys and race team. Yeah. So that's where we have a lot of insights with the industry. Represented a lot of brands, dealers for a lot of brands in China and worldwide.
Okay, so up until like recent, I guess 2020 or 20, even 22.
Yeah.
You were running like sort of a clubhouse, which you were the middleman for the brands and the riders, and you were just facilitating all these sort of things, right?
Yeah.
So then how did No6 get born from that?
Okay. So we always look at like servicing a lot of wheels, right? So in China, the up and coming wheels were like Elite, Hyper, and
Windspace,
Scott,
right? Yeah.
Windspace, yeah. So a lot of wheels came up, and then there were a lot of problems that we feel could be fixed, could be enhanced. And then the international brands, as they move towards being made in Asia, you start to see that there were like when their sealing problems were becoming more apparent in China weather. So there were a lot of bearings that were going to mud. It's not rust; it's just going to mud.
Yeah.
So, and then warranty was not up to par. So we have a lot of problems that people were trusting very expensive brands, but it comes to like the fine details. Not under warranty, not under this, not under that. And then you have to wait for a long period of time. And we just have to find, like ghetto ways to fix it out and get the clients back on the road. So we wanted to solve all these problems with a very good product, and it addresses more of the consumer's needs and up to even elite racing needs.
Okay, so stop before we continue. Mm-hmm. There is a lot of perception that you go to China, you can find a clothing manufacturer, you can find a wheel builder, you can find a wheel company, you can stick your Fahrenheit Performance sticker on the side, and suddenly, bim bam boom, I'm done. I have my own wheel brand.
That's right.
Please tell me it's a lot harder than that.
Oh yeah, it's a lot harder than that because, I would say in very simple terms, okay? Everyone says, it's made here, it's made there. It's easy. It's like, think of it as a kitchen, a restaurant. Someone who can go to the market can buy fish, can buy vegetables, can buy meat. But how it's done,
How it's put together.
is how it's put together. You can be a hawker, you can be a home chef, you can be a Michelin star chef. It's where you want to take it.
And it's, yeah.
It's the same food, right?
And let's just say it again. You and me might have the same set of knives.
Yeah.
But my dish might come out way worse than your dish, right? So tell me this. Up until recently, very recently, most people had the perception, stick with the big brands because the China brands are not going to give you the same warranty. They've got no R&D. They just copy other people. They might explode midway. Where are they going to be when you have a problem, right?
Yeah.
So just, I guess, step by step, how did you build your first prototype and how did you overcome that? Because No6 Racing Wheels, the trajectory has been very rapid.
Yeah.
Right. 3 years ago, no one knew who you were.
No one knew.
Yeah.
Even 6 months ago, no one knew.
Yeah. Right. But now you're very embedded in the US racing scene.
Yeah.
A lot of people are talking about the wheels. So rewind back to like 2020 or so was when you started to think about this, right?
Yeah.
What was your first prototype? How did you do your first prototype? How did you decide on, fat rims, carbon spokes, tubeless, not tubeless, clincher, rim brake, whatever, right?
Yeah. So when we started developing the wheels, there was a very key concern on the trends that's happening, right? Mm-hmm. So it went from 23 tires to 25, and then 28 became standard. Yep. And all the stock of tires in our clubhouse is only like 28. Now it's gone to 30. And if that's the way it is going, the old rims, which were narrower, 21, 20, 19, 21, 24 internals were becoming dated.
Yeah, of course.
Because once the balloon up, it becomes not aerodynamic at all. Okay. So we needed wider rims so that the airflow would not create turbulence at the back. Yep. So when we were developing this, we wanted something that could enhance the tire profile, where if you're using a 28 tire, you will ride like a 30 or 31.
Okay.
And you don't have to waste extra weight and carry extra weight of riding a 30.
So you're almost upsizing the tire
Yeah.
itself.
Free without extra weight.
Yeah. Okay.
So when we develop that and we think about how do we make the transmission faster, that's where a lot of the Western brands, before they went into carbon spoke, they are all stuck with the steel spokes, and steel is a bit laggy. So I've rid like big heavier wheels. You feel that when you're trying to accelerate, you feel that it's a bit sluggish, although it's very fast, but it's fast only when it's above 40.
Yeah.
But to get 0 to 40,
Yeah.
you'll be wasting so much power.
It's like a stereotypical aero bike, right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
good when it's cruising, but it's hard to get to that
That's
velocity.
right. So
right?
if you have to waste so much more energy to get there, you won't have so much energy left to sprint.
Yep.
So if I can enhance the pickup,
Yep.
that's done by carbon spokes.
Okay, so your first prototypes, were they always sort of wide? Because I know that you were pretty wide, right?
Yeah, yeah. The first prototype was to combine a very wide front
Yep.
and a very like standard rear, which is 24 mil internal for the rear,
Okay.
28 in the front. So that was, everyone thought it was nuts.
Well, I used to ride single speed mountain bikes.
Yeah.
26 inch. I still have it, Cannondale. And because it's only one speed, we had a fat tire at the front and a skinny tire at the back, so you can go through everything.
That's right.
At the front, and then you get the traction and you get the transmission at the back. Is it the same sort of
It's
concept?
the same. It's the same concept. So I studied a lot of the crit racers in the US. They were adopting gravel rims into their setup, so they can enter the corner a bit later and they corner harder, and they're able to get out fast because the rear is able to spin up quick.
So you have a fat tire at the front to give you extra traction and to give better sort of grip and lean and stuff. But then you don't need that at the back because it's fixed.
It's fixed. Yeah.
Okay. So right now, I know that you have a 4550. You have a 50, 58. That's right. Do you have gravel tires or gravel rims already as well?
We have the G45, which is front and back 45 profile height and 28 internal width.
Okay. So I've got 1,000 questions about rims. Okay. I see that it's a lot of times people just talk about the specs of the wheels these days, right?
Yeah.
It used to be 1,500 grams was 1,500 grams was a wheel set size
Back in the days.
weight, and then now it seems like 1,300 is the magic number, right?
Exactly.
It's almost like if you're not under 1,300 grams, then you're not even in the conversation anymore, right? Do you find that? And because your rims are 1260 and 1280.
Yeah.
So once you got under 13, it's like, okay, now we're safely, and you're safely under it, right?
Yes.
Is that a big selling point for your rims? Do people come to you for light rims?
In the past, 1,500 is standard.
Yes.
Right. And the price of 1,500 gram wheels have sort of saturated at a point where you cannot be more expensive than that anymore. Yep. So when you go lighter, it becomes more and more expensive.
Yes, of course.
And our comparison points will be wheels that are in the 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 USD range. So when we were looking at that, a lot of them, I can beat them by weight, and I can beat them by performance, and I can beat them by, the pure finish. And I think that's where we want to be like compared, right? So that's where I feel, okay, if I cannot get below 1,300, that's no game.
Yeah. And then it almost becomes, once you've beaten them on price, weight, performance is about there.
Yes.
Now you've got to crack that brand loyalty.
Yes.
And brand loyalty is in not in Singapore, in cycling is a very big thing. There's some people that will stay, let's use Trek, for example, right? Since the Lance Armstrong days, they've been riding Treks and they'll always ride Treks, and that's it. You'll never get them off of those bikes, right?
Yeah.
How did you sort of crack that?
Okay. When we presented the brand at the beginning, we did a lot of comparison videos, right? So we invited people with owners of Princeton, owners of DT Swiss, owners of Rovo to come in. Yeah. We weigh their bike before and then after. Okay. We swap the wheels and we let them do like lap to get 0 to 35.
So you say 200 watts around this course and then see your time.
Yeah, so we actually did the other way. We let them do a 10K course, 35K fix is their speed.
Oh, okay.
35K per hour, right? Yeah. So made it fixed. So I let them compare before and after watts.
Power and heart rate.
So their power is about 10% to 15% less.
Yeah.
And then the acceleration from 0 to 35, we let them count by the number of lampposts that they hit. They said the number of cranks that they get too were about 25% faster.
Okay. How did you overcome the perception of going for an old, obviously yours is a brand new wheel set, and putting someone, like, were their wheels on their bikes already considered to be super optimal? You know what I mean? It's not like an old rusty wheel set compared to a new one, right?
Yes, no, it's not. It's super optimal by standard that everyone had, like Pinarello F.
Just serviced, good as new.
Yes.
Same tires, same gear ratios.
Yeah, everything's the same. Rotors, disc, cassette, everything's the same. Tires the same. We did that test right away, and they could feel immediately the difference. So when they could feel the difference, we actually did it as a blind test. I told them to have no expectations, but everyone had the same response. So we had this chart that showed how fast they got, how much they felt, the power savings. Yeah. And okay, so this is enough to start to reach out to influencers across the world. So we got them to test out the wheels without telling them too much.
Yep.
And they said they had the same response.
Okay, it's funny. That's a similar, so bike fitting, right? I do a lot of bike fits. A lot of people come to me and say, how much more power am I going to get from this bike fit? And they're, come on, your power is in the body.
Yeah.
It kind of is. Let's not talk about unlocking a muscle group that you didn't have, but the same position, or you fix the position, you might go at the same average speed, but what you're talking about, less power, or your average heart rate maybe or you
average heart rate low.
Same power, go faster, right?
That's right.
So something similar something similar to that, right?
Exactly.
So tell me this, let's just use the 4550s, which is like the bread and butter. It's just like if you're going to recommend one wheel set, the 4550 would be the one that you recommend, right?
Yes.
Which is the all round. What internals and externals are we talking about here?
The front internal is 28.
Okay.
And the rear is 24.
Front internals, okay, and then externals?
External is 34.5.
And if you were talking about the industry average, how is that fatter than...
Fatter by a lot. Okay. Yeah. So most of the current wheels that are, I would say they're dated by design. A lot are in the 21 internals. Rarely, maybe 30% of the wheels out there in the market, they are in the 24 category. So we went way ahead. We went to 28. So
okay. So then, is that because of the inertia of big companies? Is that why it's like that? Because obviously you're a small guy. I'm not sure what the situation with the molds are, right? But let's just use Giant company. They're the biggest manufacturer. If they wanted to move to your dimensions, it'd probably take them 2 or 3 years to get through the backlog and to clear, to pay for the molds and all that sort of stuff. Is that sort of your little competitive advantage you can?
The wheel market is very saturated, and because of the distribution model, which is the old model of distribution, they have a lot of stock, and to move right away to something very new, it will mean everything in the past will go obsolete.
And even if they did change today, their manufacturing moving forward, everything they made yesterday and the past year is still on ships and stuff somewhere, right? And it's just takes a little bit, and then they've got to change that whole marketing campaign and
or in some distributors' warehouse.
Yeah,
and they're like, oh, what do I do with this?
Yeah, and it's like every single time it's faster, better, stronger and stuff, and then you can't just tell them that this one's already obsolete when it's brand new, right?
And also one thing is in the past, a lot of the research is based on 40 kilometer and above. Aerodynamic wind tunnel testing, testing on athletes who are always in above 40, 50 kilometer per hour. But the everyday athletes like us, we wouldn't be able to feel that by getting to 40 and staying 40 for a few hours.
You might hit it on the downhill.
We will all be naked. Yeah, so I think they will also don't want to go back on what they were saying that this is the absolute best. And if you suddenly jump into something else with this is why this even better, then everything in the past is all in the dump.
Yeah. So my next question, I want to go through my questions wrong way because I got 1,000. Carbon spokes.
Yeah.
Right. You're using straight pull, not J bend.
Yeah.
Not steel, not aluminium, not fat. Just they look like regular spokes, but they're made of carbon. Is that correct?
And they're flatter.
Okay.
They are 2.5 times stronger, and they're lighter.
But if I was blind and I was lacing up a wheel, you still lace them up the same way, right?
Yes.
There's nothing fancy about them in terms of the actual spoke themselves. They've still got nipples. They still got twist them. You still got to tension them.
You just need to make sure that the blades don't twist when you are adding tension to them. So you need to there's a tool that you have to keep it straight, and then you tighten it
to keep them all aero in the same direction.
That's right.
Okay, and why carbon compared to something we know that works?
So from steel to carbon, you will feel immediately the response is like 50% faster.
Is it 50% lighter as well?
Not 50% lighter, maybe 20% lighter, like 0 point something gram per spoke.
But because it's a spinning inertia, it's just much harder to get up to speed.
Yeah, it's much for steel spoke, it's harder to get up to speed.
Okay.
But for carbon, it's very fast to get up to speed.
Yep.
But for that being too light, you will lose momentum, right? So most of the brands that you see on the market that are carbon spoke, they lose momentum very quickly. Yeah, so there's this part where they go too stiff and too light, and they lose character.
Mm-hmm. Carbon spokes versus steel spokes, are they more brittle? If I'm riding next to someone and a rock kicks up into my wheel, will it blow up?
No, it won't blow up right away like this. The tension is strong, so sometimes on very hard impact, it may splinter.
Okay.
But that happening is really rare. Because, like in the past when we were selling at the clubhouse for Hypers and other brands, we gave them a lot of spokes, but none of them came back for replacements. And we have a lot of spokes because no one repaired. Maybe out of 100, you get one that come in because they got a crash.
Okay.
Yeah, so it breaking down is lesser. It's just a chance.
So your wheels are not known for being ridiculously stiff, right?
Yeah.
I would use the word compliant, but you can't measure compliance. But how would you sort of describe why you went that way and not just to go lightest, stiffest, fastest?
Okay, so when we were comparing the hubs, our hubs are definitely stiffer than that which where we put it under very heavy stress. There will be difference in how much force you can put into it until it starts to break down a little bit, right? Okay. So we realized that you don't need to be absolutely stiff, but you let the stiffness be absorbed at the tire point. Okay. So we don't need to be absolutely stiff, but you need to be like maybe 80%, 90% there.
Okay.
And the rims are the stiffer one. The tire is, so there's a sandwich between stiff, soft, stiff, soft, right? Yeah. And that gives, it's like a magic sauce. It gives the tire, the rim a character.
So what would you, if you give someone who's never ridden your wheels before, what would you say the characteristics of it is going to be?
It will pick up fast. And when you ride it, it takes off a lot of vertical harmonics. So all the road chatter is reduced, and you go through bumps and cracks on the road with less. I would say less.
Is that the stiffness of the wheel that does that, or is that the width of the wheel that does that, or both?
Both. Okay. And you will not be fighting with the road.
Okay.
I've ridden like 23 internals, 21 internals. You feel like you're riding like this, and then you come back, your whole body is shattered.
I am the wrong person to talk about this. I have 23C clinchers right now. Rim brake clinchers. But I guess while we're talking about that, rim brakes, you don't do them.
No.
Are they dead?
They are dead in our context because what we're trying to sell or try to create is to take up a lot of vibrations from the road and the better handling, and try to go back there and fix that problem. It's very hard. Also in terms of aerodynamics. Rim brakes.
So you don't even make them.
Don't
right?
even make them. Yeah.
No plans to make them, but just because how do you get a rim brake that is so damn wide, right?
Yeah, it's impossible. Any tires that's above 28, it's going to be very hard for any rim.
When I listen to other podcasts and I read articles or reviews on wheels, right? 1260 is your weight, okay? Stiffness, you can say they're very stiff. The internals, externals, this such and such. If there are 5 other brands that have identical specs to that, right? Then suddenly people just say, if this is $300 cheaper, I'm just going to go for that one because it's the same internal, the same external, same. Does the carbon that you use or the layup that you use or there's something else make what's your selling point to that person that just says, this one is so much cheaper? But it's like, it seems the same.
Yeah. At the moment, weight is already winning a lot of followers that bought into the wheels, right? And then the performance about the vibration handling, that already is like the second selling point. Yeah. That a lot of people after riding it, they would say it's much better than their or their.
But that's anecdotal, right?
Yeah.
Do you have wind tunnel tests, or do you have any sort of field tests or tests on machines that you can prove that it's stiffer or not stiffer, or
we have tests to check on the stiffness of the wheels, but it's not at 100% of like the stiffest, absolute stiffest, because it can always be stiffer. But in comparison, we are already stiffer because of the carbon spokes. Okay. Yeah. But for wind tunnel tests, aerodynamics, we have not gone into that yet.
Yep.
Because based on general shapes of it, if you were to go into the very extreme point to prove aerodynamics, it's very subjective because every day is a different number.
Yeah.
Right. And the wind cut the number is
also wind is going different directions every day.
That's right. So we went to fix a bigger problem where like crosswinds. Coming from the front, your wheels will always be turning. So our wheels are very wide. By being wide, they are U-shaped, which means air wrap around instead of being V-shaped where you feel like there's always a vacuum and then your wheels will lose control, right? Yep. So that was already enough without tests. Anyone that rode it, they would feel that, okay, downhill, crosswind, headwind, I don't feel anything. So that is enough. I think real road riding tests. And if you can feel it, it's already a selling point.
Okay. I grew up watching Formula 1 with my dad and watching MotoGP. 125cc, 500cc. I always noticed the 125 has skinny tires and the 500 are the big fat tires. And then we look at our bikes and all bikes are exactly the same. But now we are getting fatter, right? Is that the same concept?
It's the same.
Right? Let's just say I've got a 125 FTP and you got a 500 FTP. You're putting on more power, right? So you need that extra width, the extra traction to go around corners and stuff.
That's right. And also, it gives you more stability and, more comfort. So, now, in the past where you look at more people look into the numbers of FTP. So a lot of people will be in the 200 range and it goes up to 300 and, like 300 is,
300 is a good FTP.
It's a good FTP to majority of people. And then now as we approach a lot of the elite athletes and the continental races, they are going in excess of 400 watts at 5.5, 6.0 watts per kilo. It's like, wow, you need wider tires.
And the funny thing is that as a manufacturer, yours, the 99% of your customers are at that 300 or below, right? Yeah. But you need to cater for that 1% that are 400 plus.
That's right.
So all of your stuff, good for these high wattage people?
Definitely. Yeah, they're all racing on them and
Okay,
having good reviews.
So let me ask you this, right? I'm running 23s. I used to ride 25. 28s have come and gone. 30s are pretty common now. 32 is actually very common now. How much wider do you think that we're going to get?
Ooh, good question. Gravel has gone 50.
Okay, then gravel has gone mountain bike almost, right?
Yeah, very big now. So, it lets them float over rocks.
Yep.
So I think 35 will be soon.
Okay.
30, 35 will be soon. Now we're already 30, 32, and soon 35 will be standard.
A few tire manufacturers have 40s now out there, which are like verging on gravel tires. Do you think that's too wide?
At the moment, yeah, I think that's too wide. Most frames will not be able to handle that. And it will be mostly for gravel bikes riding on tarmac. Yeah.
Okay, so if you're a gravel bike riding on tarmac with a 40, or gravel bike riding on tarmac with a 32, which would be faster?
I would say the 40 will be better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just because of traction or because of rolling resistance or?
Overall, because now if you look at gravel bikes, they're all wider stands, right? So it's actually wider and there's a lot of air pockets in the middle. If you're riding too narrow tires, there's actually a lot of turbulence.
Turbulence.
Yeah. So if you're riding as flat as you can in the optimal zone, the air actually flows outside rather than inside.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't think that this wide trend has stopped? It's not stopping at 32.
No, it's not stopping at 32.
Okay. But you will still, like, even if someone rides a 40, you probably have a 36 at the back.
Yeah.
Something like that, right? Just for... And then what sort of PSIs are we talking about? Because, like, when I first started riding, it was pumped up to 120, right?
Yeah.
Now it's like the max recommended is like 85, right?
Yeah. Now it's gone down to, depending on weight, it will be around 55 to 70.
So go on to online calculator, type in your weight, type in tires you're using.
And then you can use the Silka tire volume calculator. You can roughly gauge from there.
And then, but we're talking double digits, 50, 60, 70s, right?
Yeah, especially when you are on tubeless.
Yeah.
It's even lighter. I mean, even less air.
Okay, so I haven't asked you about bearings. Okay, bearings, and I want to ask you about hooks. Okay, bearings. So, ceramic bearings or steel bearings, do ceramic bearings make sense?
It makes sense if you're on the absolute best, like ceramic speed.
Oh, okay, so it's the quality of the ceramic bearing. Because it's also pure ceramic and steel ball ceramic coated.
Yeah.
Right? So, what would you recommend?
Go full ceramic.
Full ceramic, just because they are more durable, or
it actually depends on, like, ceramic speed. They will pick out the best of the best, and they have a very good warranty, 4 years. No question asked. Versus, but if you're on the budget side, it's better to be using steel bearings. At the end of the day, we're always pedaling forward. You don't cruise or like just freewheel all the time. So you won't feel that very big difference unless, like you're downhill. You need more speed. Then,
So do you sell all your wheels with ceramic bearings?
We have the entry level with like 30-30, 45-50. They are with the SNS ceramic bearings. And then the 50-58 and the G45, they are at enduro steel bearings. And then we have everything above the board upgraded with the ceramic speed.
Okay, so and are we talking sealed, completely sealed bearings?
Yeah.
Sealed is in like no dust can get in, and then you don't have to service them, you don't have to grease them and stuff.
That's right.
Okay. Gravel tires. When does something become a gravel tire? Let me rephrase the question. Is there a difference in the rim and the build of a gravel tire? So if I have a 32 gravel tire and a 32 road tire, is it going to ride the same?
Ride differently, because of gravel tires will have a lot of like nodules on top.
Okay, so the tire itself will be different, but
the tires,
but the wheel set that you sell would be exactly the same?
Different. For gravel specific, it needs actually to be wider. But very often you'll find a lot of people using road rims, which is narrower, to use on gravel tires. So it bulge like a mushroom.
Is that a rougher ride?
It's a rougher ride and it's less control because the bulge, when you're taking corners, it actually flex.
Okay.
Whereas you actually need a wider stance for the rim bed to be able to.
So if I look on your website and you have a gravel wheel set, which you do, what's the difference between that wheel set and your regular wheel set? Just the width of the tire?
For the full gravel, it's actually wider in the front. Both front and back is 28 internal. So it's like, if you look at it this way, the 4550 is an all-rounder, can be used for light gravel. But if you're into all-out gravel racing, it's better to use the G45, which is front and rear 28 mil internal width.
But hubs are the same, spokes are the same. Just the width is
hubs a little bit different.
Okay.
They're using 5mm carbon blades, and it has a T head at the spoke ends, so it doesn't twist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Hooked versus hookless.
Hooked for sure.
Okay.
Hooked.
Very controversial. But you can save 10 grams if you go hookless.
Yeah, but you give the users a choice whether you want tubeless or tubes.
Yeah, I totally agree. I would panic if I bought a new set of tires and then I've got to check how compatible they are.
Yeah.
If they're not compatible. And if you have an older set of rims from 2 years ago and the tires and the newest set of tires, there's no compatibility chart because it didn't exist when they made the tire.
Yeah.
Right. So hooked because you can run tubes inside, because you can why?
In case of emergencies at a race and you need to have a quick fix, a lot of us don't have like a team car. Change wheels on the way. You can just fix it up, change tubes, and then continue.
Okay.
Or even on long distance rides, and
you can go into the local XYZ bike shop and buy the GP5000 instead of the whatever the.
That's right.
Whatever
And
you're
also
riding.
tubes, you can get tubes anytime, but sealant, if it's spilling all over, no sealant with you, no pressure to bring, to seat the tires.
So
Then-
I guess that means all your rims are tubeless and clincher
yeah,
compatible.
yeah, compatible.
Okay. I think I'm getting down to the bottom of this. Okay. So currently, Singapore company, made in China. Where is your biggest market?
Biggest market now, 70%, maybe closer to 80% is the US.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why? Is there any reason why that is? Is just because
The crit
people
racing.
that so the crit racing is your your
Yeah.
target as well.
Crit racing is my target. And then with the 4550, crit racing was my target. And it got picked up very quickly. Everyone's racing, crit racing with it. And it's like races every week, so everyone started to buy and start racing with them. Yeah.
Okay, and you get free shipping, right? Anywhere in the world, so it doesn't really matter where you are. You don't.
Some countries no, like Africa, Brazil, we don't
North
ship it.
Korea.
North Korea, Indonesia.
Oh, really? Okay, but then there's an age-old question of you're a new company. If I go with MB, they've got a good crash replacement. They've been around forever. They'll take care of you. And you're a new company. You might be gone next month or next year.
Yeah.
What do you say to that?
Oh, our customer service is pretty top notch. Yeah. So far we have got maybe less than 10 out of 400 wheels we sold in the past 6 months.
Okay.
So the response is very quick. Sometimes delivery and that's a broken spoke. Within a week they receive their spoke.
Okay, so you just send them. You send them.
We
the
just
spoke.
stand up straight away, and
Would
then
you-
we do the claims later.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, what is your production like? Are you selling like thousands of wheel sets a year? Well, like, what is the sort of capacity you guys run these days?
So we are fully stocked in rims ready to build. So usually the rims we have about 1,000 wheels in inventory, And the moment someone orders, it takes about 2 to 3 days to put them together and ship it out.
So they're all built to order. They're
Yeah,
built to order.
Yeah. So we don't put everything into the box and then like take up a lot of space.
So it's not like a warehouse full of these boxes and you get a forklift and just pick them off, right?
Yeah, no. I think that's inefficient.
So if I want to be able to build a wheel set, do I give you my riding style and my weight and where I'm from and
No.
would you do that? Or you just say, okay, this is 50-50A, build it on the spot?
Yeah. You order based on the models, and then we'll just take the rims down and then build it in 2 to 3 days, and then we'll ship it out. So that actually make it more efficient for storage and inventory.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because if you build everything and put them all in boxes, it looks very good that you're busy, but it takes up so much space. So like keep them all in rims, and then the box are all like flat out, and it's easier.
It's like IKEA, I guess. You can just store it all nicely. UCI approval.
Mm-hmm.
What's the process and how important is it?
So UCI approval is a definitely must for every most of the elites or continental racers when they're racing in UCI races. So it's a mandatory requirement.
Yeah, so if you're a UCI 2.1 or any continental race, you need to have UCI approved equipment, right?
Yes, if it's not UCI approved, they cannot use it at all.
But the average punter that's just riding, they're crit racing or they're just doing the group rides, doesn't really need to be.
Doesn't matter. But it's also a good gauge because they have all these drop tests, right? To see how much weight, whether it will crash under a certain weight. We usually put that 50% higher at the factory before we do our molds and we do our random tests.
So it's almost like a standards, quality standards, ISO standard, right? Because
Yeah.
if it's got a UCI sticker or it's UCI on the list, it's gone through the flex test, it's gone through the drop test, it's gone through all this.
That's right. So that's quality assurance at the highest level, and it's good for races.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we got the big brands. For many, many, many years, people thought that things were made in China for other brands.
Yeah.
The big, don't have to name the names, right? But recently, there have been an emergence of this is a Chinese brand made in China under their own name, right? Wingspace, Seeker, a bunch of them, right? Do you find, I guess Singapore brand, China made is sort of in that sort of category, right? But then at the same time, people think that the China quality is not so good.
Mm-hmm.
Even though they know that everything's made in China anyway. Yeah. Somehow the American brands that are made in China are superior than the Chinese brands made in China, right? But in the recent couple of years, maybe 3 to 5 years, it's been checked, that tide's been changing, right? What do you think has happened? Is it just in cycling or this is like perception reward for all brands?
For all brands in China, I think China is improving very drastically in the manufacturing capability as well as capacity. So the quality control, because, being Chinese made, when you're exporting to the global market, there is already a discrimination on the quality. You want to prove them wrong, right?
You almost have to do everything better.
Yeah. If 100 stress tests, you do it 120, 150. So that when anything goes out, there's no issue with the quality assurance. So now with all the knowledge, I would say I've been in Xiamen for the past 2 years. There are a lot of manufacturers, and out of all these that I visited, only 10% qualify to be the absolute best.
Okay.
So if you go and do something and start up something, don't get disheartened because you need to go through a lot of rubbish before you find a gem. And those are partners that you stick with for a long time.
Is that how you did it as well? You visited as
yeah,
because you live there, right? So you can just one Monday you go to this one, Tuesday you go to that one.
Yeah, we go through a lot.
How did you find the manufacturer that?
I've known them for more than 10 years.
Okay.
So a lot of them, we know each other for a long time. And then I really spent the rest, like 1.5 years in in Xiamen visiting and trying to check all the processes and find out like why can I be lighter, can I be faster, can I be this and that. I have a lot of questions and they answer and they feed more and more information.
I do have another question for you. Can it be lighter? 1,300 is the magic number right now. Yeah. How light do you think? Are we going to see a 1,000 gram wheel set one of these days?
Soon. We'll break that. Yeah. With the climbing wheels, I'm actually planning to go below 1,000.
Where is that? Where do you find that weight? Is it the thickness of the carbon, or is it you've suddenly got a titanium hub, or
some weight can be shaved off from the hubs. Okay, we are developing new hubs and the hub shell as well. And then also down to the point, once we get to critical mass as well as going to material science, the carbon layer where the amount of resin that's put in, we are playing around with that as well.
So you think of carbon fiber as a sheet, but it's actually a cloth with glue, with some sort of
like double-sided
glue, like glue, right?
Yeah, pre-preg.
A pre-preg, right? And it's heated out and it hardens.
Yes.
Right? So that glue has weight as well.
Yes.
So then if there's going to be a balance of how much of the pre-preg you actually need.
Yeah. And then once you put it in the oven for an hour, there will be a lot of loss. So is it necessary to have so much at the beginning, or maybe we can reduce that? Yeah.
It's a rabbit hole. I'm not sure.
Yes.
So when do you think there's going to be emergence of like a 1,000 gram wheel set? 5 years?
It's already happening.
It's already happening.
So at the moment, it's really like if you want to put something to the absolute lightest, the specification for the wheel's purpose has to be very, very like fine. So if you want absolutely to just climb up, it can go up down to like 900 grams, 800 grams.
Do you have to be 60 kilos to ride?
Yeah, just go up, don't go down.
No, but like the rider, it's the package weight, right? The rider plus the bike has to be a certain
weight, right?
And
the rider needs to be like below, like, like less than 80 kilos or something like that. So you need to be as light as you can. So if the purpose of just climbing, for example, like
Taiwan KOM,
or in the UK they have the hill climb challenge.
Yes,
the National Hill Climb Challenge. Harry is on testing our wheels, so he would absolutely smash it upwards, and he has his bike like 5-6 kilos.
Okay. And so what do you think we're gonna see in the next 5 years for wheels? What's the trends?
It will shift to Asia.
Okay.
A lot of the made in US, made in Europe, the wheels are shifting towards Asia. And China is getting better and better at the quality game. It will become breaking the mold that good wheels have to be above 3,000 US. And now it's all come down to 2,000.
But yours are like 1,500, right?
1,500. Right? And then with ceramic speed, it's like 2,000, 2,300 US. So that's where we are already like 30% cheaper.
Yep.
And
but you are not the cheapest.
I'm not the cheapest.
You could probably go out there and find something for $500 if you really wanted to, right?
Of course, yeah.
But then we go back to that whole is it going to explode or is it not going to explode conversation.
That's right. And also more and more brands are shifting towards direct to consumers. And it's no longer through distribution model, and that will cut a lot of costs for the intermediaries.
So you're kind of peculiar in that in Singapore, Bike Mart is going to be sort of your exclusive distributor, right?
Yeah.
If I go to the No6 website and then I try to order it, I won't be able to do it.
No.
Correct?
Yeah, we'll close it off. Once we have the past 6 months, we have good data to know where the markets are, and we want to give the market support, and we'll find distributors who can support that. And in return to protect them, we actually close off sending direct to consumers in Singapore.
Okay. But the rest of the world is not
unless someone comes up and say, hey, I want to take on this, and we will work on that.
But that's going to be quite a big you got to be a big brand in America to take on your whole American market, for example.
That's right.
Okay, Ken, I think you're sick of answering my questions. What is the best way to get a hold of you? So it's Number 6 Racing Wheels is the company, right?
Yeah.
Instagram, it's No6 Works, right?
Yeah.
NO for Number 6. Oh, actually, Number 6. Why is it called Number 6? I'm a nerd. So Number 6 is carbon, element of carbon,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Is there any other reasons why you like?
It's being made in Asia, in China particularly. 6 is a very lucky, auspicious number where it's prosperity and smooth sailing.
Okay, not Number 8. You didn't call
No,
Number 8.
that's too crass.
You don't want your wheels to be happy. You want them to be okay.
Yeah. So coincidentally, 6 is also atomic number of carbon. So I think that putting that together, okay, why not?
Yep. And there's also 6 o'clock on the clock is supposedly behind you, right?
Yes.
So when someone says, "I got your 6," it's
Yeah.
like I've got your back.
I got your back.
Right?
Yes, exactly.
Something along those lines.
So we want to improve on the customer service. Someone who is riding with us, we got your back, and it makes them feel at ease, especially with new brand, and also the community. There was this thing that we were talking about that the brand rocketed very quickly in 6 months, but trying to get to this height before we go into orbit.
Yep.
We gave it an opportunity to build on the community aspect.
Yeah.
Right. So there are a lot of people who are like tagging us and sending us a lot of images. So essentially the whole Instagram that we have is being filled with user generated content.
I gotta say, it's very sleek. Your Instagram page, the quality of the video is very nice. Something's coming out every day. There's a new story. There's a new picture. It's very polished. So Instagram is No6 Works, right?
Yes.
Website?
Number6.works or number6.racing.
Okay. Ken Goh, it's been a pleasure.
Pleasure.
Enjoy your stay back in Singapore.
Thank you.
Visit all the family that you need to go. Come back next time when you're back in Singapore and we will give us an update, okay?
Exactly. Thank
No
you.
worries.
Thank you. Thank you.